Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Exploring DC. My name is Josh, and on this show, we like to take a piece of DC, whether that's movies, comics, TV shows, or more, and explore it with you. I am joined by my lovely co-host Jackson Wells. Jackson, how are you today?
Dude, I got a really sorry today.
Oh, Dasani.
New Audible.
I'm not a
I
fan.
left my other one. I lost it. I didn't lose it. I know where it is. I just need to get it back.
Yeah. Listeners, if I don't sound great, my voice is kind of shot.
He was
I'm in
too
the
excited
final.
watching Constantine, the movie.
I'm in the final week of school, and I feel like it's just physically taking that toll.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
get that.
gosh. But once I'm done, dude, it's like all the effort's getting put into exploring DC. It's gonna
I'm
be good.
excited.
Oh my gosh. We're talking about Constantine today. Constantine, quick synopsis. John has literally been to hell and back when he teams up with a policewoman to solve the mysterious suicide of her twin sister. Their investigation takes them through the world of demons and angels that exists beneath the landscape of contemporary Los Angeles. And we watched this one mostly because we knew that there was a sequel coming out, and it was a big blind spot for both of us. What was your prior knowledge of this one, just going into it?
Shockingly little. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'd seen like a couple shots from it, and that was about it. I knew even going in, like an actor would pop up, and I'd be like, oh well, I had no fucking idea they were in this.
hmm The only thing I knew the one shot of him like coming out of hell. That was like a big one that I always see. And the other thing I knew is that this movie was like had a little cult following, but also was not very representative of John as a
No.
character. And I knew that because like, which I'll talk about later on, because of the Matt Ryan version of the character, which I was all over the Arrowverse, and so I was very familiar with that version, which is
Yeah,
more comic accurate. And I was like, I always knew Keanu did this like weird offshoot version of it.
yeah.
Before we get into the whole discussion, I'll have a few like cast lists and stuff. This is directed by Francis Lawrence, who's famous for doing all the Hunger Games sequels so far. I think he's done every one. He's gonna
That's right.
do the new
He
one
didn't
coming
do the
out.
first one though, did he?
No, he didn't. And then he also did I Am Legend with Will Smith. He's done a couple other movies. This is his directorial debut, though, which is pretty interesting that his first movie was like a big budget DC Comics flick. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And it what came out in 2005?
yep, came out in 2005.
Yeah,
So
that tracks.
yeah, pretty much. Written by Kevin Broadbent and Frank Capello. Could not find any notable credits to these guys' names, which was interesting too, because I thought they'd have a screenwriter with some knowledge, but I don't know. Cinematographer was Philip Rousselet. He nothing super interesting. He did some of the Fantastic Beast movies, but he did the Nice
Yeah,
Guys, man. He
I
shot
did
the
see
Nice
that.
Guys.
I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I I don't know about you. I didn't find anything special about the way this one was shot for me.
nah. There was some interesting direction though,
Yeah.
and a couple
And
of really there were a couple of striking frames here and there.
I think most disappointing from the technical side was the score was by
Brian
Brian
Tyler.
Tyler,
Yeah,
who did Fast and Furious, a lot of those,
it
he did
was
Mario.
really understated score,
Yeah. I'm
especially compared to a lot of his other comic book work. You know, he did Thor: The Dark World, he did Iron Man 3, and
mhm.
those are some pretty loud scores. You know.
Well, even recently he did that Transformers 1 movie, which we've
Yeah,
talked
yeah, yeah.
about, me and you, before, and I really liked the score on that. So I was disappointed to see that nothing really. This was also they also brought in an additional composer named Klaus Badelt, who worked on the very famous movie Catwoman from 2004. So
Oh my God, are you for real?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
he
funny.
scored that one too. And then budget 70, 100 million, box office 230 million. It did okay. Nothing great, but I could see why they would
Wait.
want to
Did
make a sequel.
you said the budget was 70, 100 million?
70 to 100.
Oh, 72, 100. That makes a
Yeah,
lot more sense.
in that range, yeah.
That's a really big ballpark.
Right. I mean, it seems modestly budgeted, but for the
Yeah,
time it's kind of a lot of money.
that's a lot of
Where I
money.
feel like nowadays it's a little better, but back then, I mean, 100 million's no joke for budget. And then cast is all over the place here.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is Constantine. We'll get into. Rachel Weisz is as both Angela and Isabel Dodson,
Hmm.
original character for the movie.
I figured.
Um, I'll get into her too, I guess. But she's like stunning in this movie. By the way, this is my big my big takeaway. I was very impressed. So Shia LaBeouf is like in a couple scenes as Chaz Kramer, who is a
Mhm.
comic character.
Maybe the weirdest inclusion in this movie.
Yeah. Um,
He
it's
shoots.
always.
He gets a shotgun in the third act.
I don't think I've ever seen a Shia LaBeouf performance that it doesn't feel like off or weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, my goat Jaimin Hansu, who's been in a couple comic book stuff, is
Couple
Midnight.
is a. I feel like a couple's in it like a fucking understatement at this
See,
point.
I thought so too, but then I looked into it. He's done a couple MCU, did a couple of DCEU, and then I think he did one or two animated ones. But he hasn't been like as extent. I thought he was in a lot of the animated direct to video stuff, but I don't
Oh
think he
really?
has. No, but he was in Aquaman and he was in
Both Shazams and
Shazam, both
Black Adam.
Shazam. Yeah. I think he's so
He's awesome in
underrated.
everything he's in. He is. Yeah. He's
Yeah,
great. Every time he shows up, he's great.
and in this I thought he was a scene stealer when he came in for a little bit. In his little like fedora hat and everything. Oh my gosh. Max Baker is Beeman. Um Forgettable character for me, did not do much.
Yeah.
He was like the shorter guy that had the powers. This one was interesting. Pruitt Taylor Vince played Constantine's like ally, Father Hennessy. This is the guy that's playing Superman's dad in the new
Oh,
Superman.
really? I didn't know that.
And I recognized him at first, and I'm like, where do I know this guy? And then I was like, oh yeah, because he's in this new trailer. I don't think again he left much of an impact, but it was cool that like we're seeing an actor that's gonna about to be in this
Yeah.
big moment for DC. So um let me see. Gavin Rosdale, who was a lead singer in a band called Bush, played Balthazar. Did not really care for this villain. I thought he was whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fine.
Yeah, and Peter Stormare was in the last couple minutes as Lucifer.
Hmm.
Very interesting design choice and everything we're going for there. I'm not used to it because I'm used to like the Lucifer from the Netflix show,
Yeah.
which is a lot more sleek and everything. This one's like they're going grimy and weird. And then I left her for last because she's like my favorite character. I think is
Yeah.
Tilda
She was the
Swinton.
best part of this movie, and I did not know she was in it.
I
She is just so bizarre in this thing.
Yeah, like an androgynous Gabriel. I ate it up. I was like, this
Yeah.
is so cool and awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have a couple random ones, just background people. Laz Alonso, who plays Mother's Milk in The Boys, plays a security guard in this.
No, what the hell?
Chad Stahelski had an uncredited role as a demon in the hospital. That's notable
Huh.
because he directed John Wick, obviously with Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. And then you probably don't know this one, but Kevin Alejandro also had an uncredited role as a border patrol guard. He was in the Lucifer show, which
Oh,
obviously has
cool.
some connections to this. So a lot of like random little people in nothing roles in this. But what did you think of the cast overall? Did you think it was
Tilda
any notable
Swinton is so
standouts?
cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page there because I was every time she was on screen, I locked the fuck in. She's great.
That was what was carrying me through the ending because I was getting pretty lost until the
I
Swinton kept
was
coming
too.
back, and I was like,
I was
this
like, hell
is
yeah.
hell yeah. Let's just go over overall, first impressions. How did you feel about this one?
It's fine.
Mid?
I thought it was fine. Yeah, it's very of its time.
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe a solid 30 minutes too long. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was fine. There's that Onion headline that's like, "Holy shit, there's still 50 minutes left in this movie," and at a certain point, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
I just, and a lot of it was just because I did not find Keanu Reeves as John Constantine that compelling. And I
I
like
agree.
Constantine too. He's a character that I usually really enjoy when I see him in like in the Arrowverse or the animated shows or the comics. Constantine is a character that I wouldn't say I have extensive knowledge of, but like
All right.
I've seen enough of him to get the gist of his personality and his demeanor. And I did not really feel like it was captured here. Well, and I think it was obviously by design. You know, they kind of wanted to turn Constantine into like an LA neo noir story, which is an interesting idea, but you kind of lose a lot of the charm of Constantine in the process. I feel like.
I get it. I'm in a very similar boat. I was not impressed by this one as much like as I hear about it being this underground cult film. I was like, okay, maybe there's some really like out there stuff in this and it
Yeah, and it felt too reserved. Like I
yeah,
feel like he was afraid to get like real weird with it at certain times. You know, like, with Tilda Swinton being like the glaring exception to that,
yeah,
because which is what a truly bizarre character and performance from her in this.
which is awesome.
Oh, it
Oh
is.
my gosh.
Again, she's like the best part of this movie.
It plays, yeah, very straightforward and it's also a mystery movie where the mystery is not entirely interesting.
Yeah,
But let's get into that big point. Keanu as John. The big thing here is that he's not at all comic accurate. No blonde hair, no London background or accent or everything. He
yeah.
is still chain smoking, which is cool. I mean, that's
And
part of the
basically, the
character.
entire movie is about how he's gonna fucking die if he doesn't stop
Yeah.
smoking.
And even like the stuff where he was able to see demons and stuff and that's why he attempted suicide. That's not even like comic stuff
Yeah.
or why he's because he's doomed in the comics as well, but for a completely different reason. I I don't know. This felt like one of those situations. We talked about this. You weren't there on the Steel episode, with Shaq as Steel, it felt like another one of those situations where they instead of writing for the character and like having an actor, they wrote like for the
For the
actor,
actor, yeah.
and they just like placed like what character would work best in our minds for. That's
Uh,
entirely what it felt like to me. It's like we want Keanu. This was
Another
the
little
era.
IP, right?
Yeah, this was the era post Matrix, right? Post Bill and Ted, where they
Oh,
were
you can
pushing
tell.
they were pushing Keanu as a leading man, and sometimes he works really well, but other times you can tell he just does not have that like charisma, I guess, to really carry some of these roles. And this is a clear one where I'm like,
Yeah.
you do not fit in it, as especially with how charming Constantine is in the comics, where you
Yeah.
know that's his whole thing is that he's a smooth talker.
Yeah, yeah. And Keanu Reeves just doesn't totally sell that. Like he has some good one-liners here and there, but like those are one-liners that feel like they're more in line with Neo from the Matrix than it does
Hmm.
with Constantine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He's also, I don't know if you felt this way. I thought he was talking like really quiet. Like his
Mhm. Okay,
vocal
yes.
level was
Yes.
was
He
really,
was. Because
and
like
everyone
I
else
would
is
have
talking normal, right?
yeah, I would have the volume at like a certain level on my speakers, and like the music and just other people would be so much aggressively louder than him. I'm glad I wasn't the only person that noticed that.
Yeah, I was like, Keanu, you can. I noticed in the beginning when he was doing the exorcism and he was
He was
doing his lines.
whispering.
I was like, Keanu, you can speak up, man. You
Yeah,
sounded
because
like how
like
I am right now. That's how he was talking the whole
because
movie.
they kind of hold off on him talk. Okay, well here's a fun fact. I didn't go into this knowing if he was British or not.
Okay, that's
I
interesting.
actually didn't know. Like I didn't know if he did a Brit. I figured he didn't,
Yeah.
but like I hadn't actually heard him talk. Um,
So it was a big reveal moment when he first
yeah,
talked.
yeah. So like they hold off on him talking. It's like, man, I gotta hear this. Is he gonna be British? And he
Uh,
wasn't.
no, I knew the whole time. I was like, I know they made him American, and that was the whole complaint.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. There's like you said, there's moments where he like is fun because it's Keanu, and I
yeah.
enjoy Keanu as a personality. But this is like a far cry from my favorite stuff of his. I like when he plays from Bill and Ted because he plays a stoner really well. I like when he does John Wick because he does stoic really well. Even Neo, which is more of a dialogue heavy part, it's still like nothing crazy. This is just not the role for him at all, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious though. We can talk about the sequel later, because they seem to be planning a sequel. I think Keanu now, like 25 years later, is going to play this part pretty differently than Keanu of like 2005.
I'm surprised. If we're talking about the sequel, the one thing you have to acknowledge is that there's a 90% chance it never gets made. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I think it's highly unlikely with the new regime and everything. But it's somewhat in development, is what the rumor is. So we have to run with it right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're operating under the assumption that it is going to get made, I think just something that we have to keep in mind is that uh, there's still like an entire other universe that, and I'm sorry, this is a really convoluted way to get to my point that I don't necessarily want that I want a proper Constantine in the DCU, is what I'm getting at.
I agree. I
Uh,
think,
and if they want to do a
yeah,
sequel to this, by all means, go for it. I know they're going to keep doing Elseworld stuff, but
right.
and if they're going to have two Batman, I'm sure they're fine having two fucking Constantines, you know?
It's one of those situations where it's like, like the Joker movies can exist, but still clearly they're not part of the main thing. I feel like you put a Constantine 2 out, people might assume that it is just part of that shared universe because it's a little more conventional than something like Joker is, or even the Batman to some extent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would be curious to, again, we could talk about it later. I'd be curious to see what Keanu would do with it now, but like 2005 Keanu is not hitting it for me as John. But I wanted to get into Rachel Weisz too, which I thought was the
Hmm.
other interesting part of this. She's playing this original character, and it's basically about this detective who's feeling a lot of guilt, and then her sister, who is in a mental hospital, commits suicide, but it's framed weird. We don't know if she actually did or not. And then the whole mystery is uncovering what happened to her and how it ties into like all these demonic things going on. How did you feel about both her and like the general mystery of everything? Anything notable?
Yeah. Uh, so with her, I feel like that it hits some tropes that I wasn't totally a fan of,
Mm,
but I thought that she gave a good performance.
I did too. I really liked her,
Yeah,
even though I
I
didn't like the mystery.
the mystery was rocky, like the romance angle I thought was just so predictable.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? But I enjoyed her in the role. You know what I'm saying?
I
I'm saying you know what I'm saying a lot. It's like John Berthal's like, let me tell you something,
let me tell you
except
something.
not as cool.
I, honestly, man, let me give to you real quick. Rachel Weisz is known also in the comic book sphere for being in Black Widow, which is also debatably a very middle of the road film,
Yeah,
right? Like we can agree there.
but I remember her being good in that too.
Yeah, yeah, in both ones, I'm like, I still like Rachel. I just think she's interesting, and she always puts a lot into her performances.
Yeah,
And I was like, at beginning, I was when she was doing the confessional and
that was a
setting her
really good
up, I
scene. That
was
was a good scene.
like,
There was also a scene with her that I really liked.
yeah,
There was the scene where like Constantine's fucking drowning her,
yeah,
and the camera just like it holds on her for like a really uncomfortable amount of time. And
hmm,
you see her like she did this really great body language in that scene where she is just like tapping the side of like the fucking bathtub like she's like trying to pass the time.
yeah,
And then you see it like quickly pacing up and she starts like grabbing John. That was weirdly one of my favorite bits of performance from her just because I thought the body language was just so convincing. I felt I have like this really I drowning is like my the worst way to go out. I would not like in a million years want to drown. You
oh, it's
could kill.
awful.
Yeah, I would say like if I have a fear, it's drowning. But so
Yeah,
that scene really did make me uncomfortable, and a lot of that was because of the way that I think she sold that body language.
yeah, she's doing little things like throughout this whole thing, and I was actually kind of upset that she's not really in the third act as much as I would have hoped, because at a certain point, she kind of just
She does get sidelined,
she just disappears, and I was
and then Shia LaBeouf gets a shotgun,
yeah, and even
and
Shia LaBeouf, I
Constantine gets a gun.
recognized I recognize Shia LaBeouf's character Chaz because he's like a main supporting character to Constantine and
Yeah,
like a friend of his. I thought he was going to be in a lot more of this, and he's in like the beginning and then
yeah,
the
and then he
end.
goes away. It was weird.
And I didn't understand really what they were trying to do. Did you watch the post credit scene of this movie?
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, so there's a post credit scene. By the way, I watched this on Tubi, and whatever. It's better than renting it, right?
Yeah.
But Tubi, for some reason, has that like the skip credits thing you have on like Disney Plus where you can get to
Uh
the
huh.
post credit scene, which shout every streaming service should have that.
Yes.
I love that thing. It's so because especially when you don't know, like in this case, was not gonna check for a post credit scene.
I,
That they
I
were
I
like
wouldn't have thought to. I
they were like
obviously.
have the skip credits thing. Everything
So
should have that.
so elaborate. What is this?
Okay.
What is this
So post
post
credit
credit scene?
scene, Shia LaBeouf dies in this movie, and John
Uh huh.
is at his grave, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, Chaz, you're my friend." And then he's walking away really slowly, like almost comically slowly, where you know something's about to happen. It was really funny. And then yeah, Shia LaBeouf comes out. He's got glowing yellow eyes, and it turns out he's an angel now. And then he just flies up into the sky, and John Wick just kind of like never turns around. He just kind of smiles, and it's like, all right, yeah. That was the scene, man. It was
That's
weird.
insane. I'm kind of sad I missed that
I would
now.
recommend like YouTubing it because it was
Yeah,
pretty.
that's wild.
It was an interesting setup for like I don't know. I assume they thought they were gonna get a sequel. Angel Shia LaBeouf would have been odd because he's not set up that much in this movie.
No, he's there with a gun and then he dies.
Yeah, and I thought that like based on the opening scene, I thought they were gonna do so much more with him. It was weird.
Now, can I ask you a potentially stupid question?
What questions of yours aren't stupid, bro?
Yeah,
Go
you're
ahead.
right. Does Constantine have a gun in the comics at all?
No, not to. But this is like a relic gun, so I guess it's a little different.
I know,
But
yeah, yeah, I know, but it's like it
no,
was a fucking gun with a cross on it. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it was cool. I liked it. It's
Oh no,
stupid.
I
Like,
wasn't even complaining. It was so dumb, but it is like
yeah,
it's so early 2000s. It's so early 2000s, man.
yeah.
Oh, I guess
Apparent.
mid 2000s, but whatever.
I was reading trivia, and Keanu bought that gun like as a prop and gifted it to the director. I'm like, that'd be such a cool thing to have in your
Yeah,
house. Is the angel gun from Constantine to?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then we already talked about Tilda Swinton being really cool. The other villains, like I said, Lucifer, Baltazar. I like maybe this ties into. I didn't think the world building was that cool.
No. Again, and I wish it leaned into like the weirdness a little bit more because it felt
Yeah.
it and it was almost again, you can correct me if I'm wrong here because you might know more about Constantine than me, but
Hmm.
it felt almost a little more self-serious than Constantine usually is. Not that Constantine is like a jokey character, but I felt like there was at least an element of like campiness.
I will say the character has like a really like dry sense of humor that's permeated throughout the
Yeah,
comics, but
yeah, yeah.
the comics themselves are dark, like they're not light things.
Okay.
But Keanu could have been playing it up a lot more
Yeah.
than what he does. He's doing a very subtle thing, which is not Constantine, and that's
Well,
my
that
big
I guess
issue.
that's what I was getting at. It felt
Hmm.
reserved, you know.
Yeah, I I agree, and it's like even I just wanted to
Except Tilda
learn.
Swinton, not Tilda Swinton. She
No,
was
yeah,
great.
she was cool, and I was like, when that reveal happened, where she was turned out to be evil, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm down. I was big. I thought they could have done a lot more with establishing hell and all these different sectors and
And
everything,
it
and
also felt like a conventional depiction of hell.
yeah, and,
I
and
was I
I
was hoping for something just a little bit more. There's some interesting like camera techniques and editing techniques used within hell, but
hmm.
I was hoping for just a little more of a vibrant and interesting depiction of it.
Well, the cool thing about hell is that they based it on 1940s nuclear test film, and they were like
Oh, really?
trying to like design the world as if like that kept going, like if roots and stuff kept growing, what would the post-apocalypse look
That's
like?
interesting.
And that's a cool angle, but I think it's covered up by a lot of like CG and just not.
Yeah.
It doesn't fully come across. I just wish we had more up close shots of hell. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
it's zoomed out.
It's very abstract.
Yeah, so
And I guess maybe that's it. It's like it felt like it lacked identity to me.
yeah, and again, reserved. Like they're not pulling into cool things that they should be pulling into.
Yeah.
I it's one of those things where I was reading into the development. This was started development in '97. I'll get into some other trivia on it. Keanu signed on in 2002. The original script though had the London accent and like that, uh, um, him being from London, and everything, and the producers like didn't like write back. They didn't seem like they were interested. And as soon as they switched it to like Los Angeles based and American based, this is not even like for Keanu they did that for. They just did it to get the movie kind of going.
That's
And that's when
wild.
people, and that's like one of those things in the early 2000s where they were just
They're
so
stingy.
afraid to take like comic book accurate steps, and we had
Yeah,
to always make it more mainstream to whatever Hollywood was looking at the moment. And
yeah,
it's just so disappointing because I think there could have been a really cool comic accurate version of this movie, even with Keanu, if we wanted to.
yeah. And it's like again, I'm not even approaching this. Not again, your point is completely valid, but like I'm not even as much approaching this in like a comic accuracy sense as like as much as I'm approaching with like the text of the movie. I feel like the text of the movie demanded something a little bit different than
Yeah,
what we got. Because like again, I honestly feel like Tilda Swinton's in a completely fucking different movie than everybody else is.
a completely better
A
movie.
completely better
That's
movie too, and it's like I want that.
oh man. Yeah, it's weird, man. I like even like big moments like John revealing that he committed suicide back in the day. It doesn't hit. It doesn't land like that
Yeah.
emotional impact. Or with the sisters, like I don't know. It just nothing was really hidden on the level that it should be for me, which sucked.
Yeah, and it is it maybe hasn't aged the best that like
Hmm.
suicide is just strictly a plot point in this.
Yeah,
Like I
for
don't feel like you
sure.
get any sort of character development or emotional charge out of that, you know?
Yeah. Um, let me ask, like, why do you feel like this has a cult following? Because for me, it feels very conventional. So I'm curious why people have like
I
stuck
did
onto it.
too. And I guess it's just because it does have some of that like early or that early to mid 2000s blockbuster charm on it. You
Yeah.
know, like Daredevil, like the original Daredevil, or like
Oh yeah.
Tokyo Drift,
Yes.
Mission
It has
Impossible
that.
2. It has
Yep.
that energy, and I think that there are people who, myself included, who like really gravitate towards like Tokyo Drift is still my favorite Fast and Furious movie,
Yeah.
partially because of that. You know, it's
And
just there
and
was just
Daredevil
some
2003 rocks.
yeah, yeah, and Too Fast, Too Furious, Mission Impossible 2. You
Even the
could
early
make
X-Men, right? Like
early
to an
X-Men.
extent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, to an extent. Uh, there you could make a fucking laundry list of movies like that, you know, um,
Yeah.
of just blockbusters during that time. There's a lot of really terrible ones, and I feel like there are people who really just have an affinity for that era, and I think that this has that kind of like supernatural edge to it that will also appeal to a lot of people.
Yeah. It's nostalgic in a way that like even if you haven't
Yeah,
seen it before, I was watching, I'm like, this feels very much of that
yeah,
time, and
yeah, yeah.
I do miss the simplicity of it, even though I like more what we get now from comic book stuff. I thought like
It was simple.
I yeah, man. I don't know. I don't really have much more to get on the sequel. Let's talk about it. It's been kind of rumored for a couple years. The guy that played Lucifer in like 2020 said that it was happening, and then in 22 it got
Wait, wait. Why would he know?
exactly right. And then in 22, Deadline put out an article saying like, yeah, this is officially confirmed. But
Was
then
that before
we
or after Gunn took over?
this is before, right? So then we
Okay.
had all the regime changes. But as recently as like I think February this year, they said they were having meetings with James and talking about the script and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's maybe not get into like would it happen. Let's talk about like where would we want it to go?
Well, and also just walk who is involved in the second one? Have they listed any names who like who's
As far
attached
as
already?
as far as I know, I think Francis Lawrence is back as director. Keanu would be back, and I believe Akiva Goldsman, who's produced a lot of stuff, is back as producer. I don't know if they have a writer. I
I
could
mean,
look it up, but
if they're talking about a script, I would assume they would, but
right, but like
we may not know who it
a writer
is.
that's no like out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like where would you want to see this go? Like what could they do with it?
Yo, either Tilda Swinton is back or I don't want it. I don't know what they would do with her, but
Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, like I don't know if I want most of the cast back because a lot of them die first off.
a lot of
So
them are very dead. Yeah, I would
I
imagine it would be one of those situations where it's probably just Keanu Reeves back and on a totally new adventure.
yeah, I would say honestly, in my opinion, don't even do Constantine 2. Just do another Keanu Constantine, like but like a soft reboot of it, and just let him play his John Wick era, like bearded Constantine era, like the one we're in now. See
Yeah.
what he does with the character there. Don't
So
even like,
instead of doing the Matrix Constantine, do John Wick Constantine.
yeah, like play into like move away maybe even from the like trying to be like the character. Just play into Keanu and
Yeah,
like have him be set in a world where all these demons and stuff are. Because I
yeah,
feel like this movie was trying to ride the line between
it
Keanu
was.
and Constantine, and it works for neither. Like, just lean. He's not going to be comic accurate.
No, he
Like,
won't. He can't be. I just
no.
he's it's not possible.
And you want to separate it from if you do a regular Constantine, right, in the DCU, which would be really cool to see. Do full Keanu and just set it hell. Like Bill and Ted too. Just, but not obviously that tone. But that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah,
Keanu fucking kicking demons in hell and shit, and using his angel gun to like shotgun people in the face.
yeah,
That's and no Shia LaBeouf angel with
yeah. We don't need that.
no. That's I don't know. I don't have a strong idea for. I think it'd be fun to like develop a pitch for it, but off the top of my head, I'm like I don't know what I
Yeah.
would do. But it seems like Lucifer would be back based on the actors, like
Wait,
seemingly.
wait, wait. So I've never seen Lucifer. Is it tied to the movie?
No.
Okay.
Peter Stormare, who played Lucifer in this movie,
Oh,
not
my bad, my
Lucifer
bad, my
from the
bad, my bad, my bad.
show.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, that
yeah,
makes a
yeah.
lot more sense.
So he
Okay,
would seemingly be back because he kind of comes in for a little bit at the
that
end,
would make sense.
and
That
he's
would
not
make
very
sense.
antagonistic, right? He just actually lifts Keanu's curse off him, and he's like, "You're going to be in hell anyway."
Yeah,
I
he's
think
like, yeah,
it's.
I need you to live so you can go to hell.
I think he's honestly. He didn't leave a huge impact, but it was interesting that he wasn't an outright like antagonist for Keanu to fight.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool. And I'd be curious to see where they would go with it. I did not like his design though. Maybe that's
no.
intentional, but like, yeah, you're right, Brent. Bring back Tilda Swinton, do some cool things of Lucifer, but just have Keanu like have to go to hell and fight demons. That's my big
Just because
pitch.
you know what? Because they can't do that with John Wick. You know,
Right? They
all
can't.
the people
Yeah,
wanted that John Wick movie where he goes to hell, and they can't do that.
like, bro,
Do
like
do that with this. Yeah,
tell me, fucking the raid in hell with Keanu isn't like the coolest thing ever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
And
that would
I
make
think
so
that's a
much
good way
money.
to utilize your Elseworld label too. Is just by doing weird shit like that
Yeah.
that you couldn't do in mainline continuity.
Right. Just go for it, man. And also, I think Francis Lawrence is a lot more developed as a director. There's
Yeah, he's done
signs here
a
in
lot.
this one, but I like his Hunger Games work quite a bit. I think he does some really cool stuff in those movies. And I think he would.
I'm not familiar enough. I've seen them, but it's been a
Oh, okay.
while.
You didn't see the new one from a
I did
couple years
not
ago?
know.
I really liked it, man. I think he's doing some cool stuff. So I'd be excited. I haven't seen I Am Legend, but that would probably be a good indicator too, because that's movies about a zombie apocalypse and could have similar things, zombies,
Yeah,
demons. I'd be curious to see what he do with it. But again, I like you said, will it happen? Like probably not.
yeah.
But I don't know. Gunn seems open to a lot of things, so I think he'd be open to bringing this one back. Do you have any? What's your closing thesis here? Anything for you?
Sorry.
Closing thesis on this one.
Um, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like it.
Oh,
I, I let me
it's the
rephrase
character
that.
arc because we went from
No, no,
okay to
no,
pretty
no, no,
good.
no. It's okay. I'm gonna go
Okay.
with okay. Sorry, my
Yeah.
head's scrambled right now. It's fine. I don't think it's like terrible. There's nothing particularly bad about
Uh,
it. Um, yeah,
Thumbs up, thumbs down. You're giving it like the half thumb. You
I'll
know,
give it a half thumb.
that's fair, man. I'm around the same way. I don't think I'd go back to watch this again unless I
No,
like had a reason to.
unless it was
But
the sequel. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm glad I watched it just for the
No, me too.
context of it.
Again, that's what the podcast is for. We're
Right?
exploring, and I
Big
explored.
exploring. Yeah, and this was one of my big ones of like live action DC movies. I think the big two now for me are that I haven't seen are Superman Returns and Catwoman, and one of those we'll tackle recently soon. I have a couple big trivia things, and that's how we'll end it because we don't have any news.
Yeah,
So,
been a newsless
um,
week.
newsless week. I'm gonna leave that one for last. Some comic polls. This is based on the Hellblazer 1988 run, which is he got introduced in Swamp Thing in the late 80s, and then they spun him off in the like 88 into his own Hellblazer run, and that's why he became so famous in the 90s, and that's in the late 90s they started developing a film. Also based on Garth Ennis's like 5 issue run. Garth Ennis did The Boys and stuff, and then Original Sins was where they pulled Gabriel from. Some cool pulls, but again, not very comic accurate. Uh, Alan Moore, who we know is the creator of Watchmen and like certified grump, like
Yeah,
everywhere, refused to be credited or associated with this movie,
of
and
course.
he gave away his royalties. That's
That's
the
so
most
funny.
Alan Moore thing to
Yeah,
do
that
ever.
tracks.
Yeah. Will that man ever be happy with something?
No.
I don't know.
Has he ever been happy, period?
Clearly not, man, because he's always pissed off. All I hear is that like this adaptation sucks, man. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, Alan, whatever. Um, this movie, the title was changed from Hellblazer, which is what the comic's called, to avoid similarities. I found two different reasons. One reason said it was to avoid the similarities to the Hellraiser franchise, with Pinhead and the cube and everything, which is actually what happened with the comic, because the comic was going to be called Hellraiser and they switched it to Hellblazer to avoid similarities.
Yeah.
But then another source said that it was changed from Hellblazer to Constantine to avoid similarities to Hellboy, the 2004 movie, because it was coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
Around, like, so honestly, Hellblazer's a way cooler name, but
Hellblazer's kind of sick.
it is, right? So I'm kind of bummed that didn't happen. The Spear of Destiny, which is like that artifact that was in the beginning
Yeah,
mostly,
yeah. Which was
that
such a bizarre MacGuffin.
yeah. I have two interesting things. One, that
Okay.
it's the same spear that was used in Hellboy 2004 to bring that back. So it's cool that the prop was reused. But also, you haven't seen a lot of Legends of Tomorrow, right?
I've seen, oh gosh, I want to say 3 seasons?
Okay, so you watched the second season with the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
If you remember, the Legion of Doom is like fighting over the Spear of Destiny, like the same biblical thing.
Oh my God, you're right.
So this is
How
like
did
a
I not clock that?
right. This is the
That's
second,
crazy.
and it's always so interesting to me when comic books go biblical with like artifacts and
Yeah.
stuff. So
The
I thought it
Spear of
was cool.
Destiny also sounds like a fucking Indiana Jones MacGuffin.
Yeah. And I love that season of Legends. So that brought me back. I was like, this
I
is
enjoyed what I saw of Legends.
oh,
That was a weird ass show.
one day we'll get into it.
I
I don't
remember
know
watching
when.
the. I remember. I specifically want to talk about the Obama episode and the George Lucas episode because those were two episodes that I just vividly remember watching when they aired.
And I'll say the George Lucas episode is very good.
No, it's fire. I love
Yeah.
that one's so much fun.
The Obama Gorilla Grodd episode is okay, but the
It's
George
just
Lucas one's like it's good. Like it's actually just a
yeah,
good episode.
yeah.
Yeah, I again biblical stuff. Yo was the most interesting. I'm not gonna tangent too long. Is that Riverdale when it went crazy? Right, that's also based on a comic. Had a whole season about like a biblical war between angels and like the town, and they used like the Spear of Destiny and like the fucking goblet that Jesus drank out of in the Last Supper.
Yeah.
So it can always get crazier than just this, but I don't know. Spear of Destiny, that goes hard. Um, this film is on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
I believe he passed around this era. It was later in the 2000s, from what I
Yeah,
remember.
that sounds right.
So he went out not liking this one, which is I don't know. I mean, I get it, but
On
like
his
most hated
most
is
hated
crazy.
is, although Roger, he always had some just funny takes. Granted,
I
he's a great critic. Like
yeah.
movie criticism would not exist as it does today without that guy.
I think in their later years, they were both pretty grumpy towards some newer releases with blockbusters and stuff,
Yeah.
and this tracks. So, and the last one I got for you, which I thought was very interesting, other actors considered for
Ooh, I'm excited to
Constantine.
hear this.
The big one was actually like gonna happen. They had a director with him, but then, when the director dropped out, he did too, and it kind of fell apart in the late '90s. Nicolas Cage, right?
Oh my fucking god, dude. Although
I,
honestly, that would have fucking ruled.
it would have been a
I
much
feel
more
like he
like talked about movie, I think.
I'm talking specifically that would have ruled for the version of John Constantine they did in this movie.
Oh, with Nicolas Cage, yeah, because he's
Yes,
gonna deliver every line like
he would have
insane.
he would have been in the same movie as Tilda Swinton, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Here, I'll offer you a thing though. We always see the fan cast, right?
Oh God.
Keanu is Ghost Rider, like because Nicolas Cage also played Ghost Rider. Let's
Yes,
flip that. Is that like
that's an
bad?
improvement. That's an improvement.
Do you like Keanu as Ghost Rider more or Nicolas Cage as Constantine more? Like which
I
one's
like
more
Nick.
interesting?
I like Nicolas Cage's both more because I like Nicolas Cage.
Man, I would,
I'm just
dude.
gonna keep it a buck.
Modern Nicolas Cage as Constantine would also be crazy.
That would
Like
be so good because he's just more unhinged. I feel like
he's oh yeah. So I
let's get Willy's Wonderland Nick Cage up in there.
and the other two actors I have listed, bro, the Legion of Doom here. You ready for these?
Yeah.
Um, known famous director of what the fuck was that Mark Wahlberg movie called? Flight Risk. Mel Gibson,
Oh no.
which would have been honestly though, that's like around when he was doing Signs. It probably wouldn't have been that bad, but it would have been very boring,
Yeah.
I think. And then this one, bro, Kevin Spacey as Constantine? No,
The
cursed, dude.
the fuck?
Yeah,
Whose idea was that?
I I was just on the IMDb trivia page,
Oh
bro.
hell no,
Those
bro.
never got far. And I'm not excited to watch Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, but him as Constantine would have been terrible, I think.
Yeah, that would have been real bad.
Yeah. But all three of those, I'm like, what? That would change the movie so much.
Completely different movie each time.
Nicolas Cage Constantine would is living in my dreams. Well, maybe one day. They'll do the in the DC event film, they'll do the CGI shot again, but instead of Nicolas Cage as Superman, it's him as Constantine fighting a spider still. And
Yeah.
it'll be I don't have anything else for you. This was maybe not as like meaty an episode as I hoped we would get out of it, but I think it was still fun to watch this one and get some stuff out of it.
Yeah.
Next week, our plan right now is to watch the only new release movie of the year right now, which is the Batman Ninja sequel. So we will.
So I gotta watch Batman Ninja 1.
Are you gonna watch Batman Ninja 1 or just go into Batman Ninja 2? Do you need
I
to
think
catch
I
up on
have
the
to
lore?
watch I think I have to watch Batman Ninja 1.
I'm gonna do both. I think it'll be interesting.
Have you seen Batman Ninja 1?
When it came out, like 6 years ago.
Oh, it's been that long.
When it was 2018, 6 years ago?
Is it called
7 years
Batman
ago?
Ninja?
First one's called Batman Ninja. The second one's called Batman Ninja vs. Yakuza League.
That's the coolest title of all time.
And you know what, dude? The second one is getting improved reviews on the first. I'm kind of interested. It's got the Justice League in it. But, like, I don't
Are
know.
they ninjas?
I think so. I
So
think they
Superman
are.
is a ninja. Is this
I don't
the
actually
best
think
movie of all
Superman's.
time?
I think Superman might not. We're gonna side tangent. I don't think he's part of the league, but
But now I'm like interested in the possibility of like Superman ninja. Is Wonder Woman a ninja? Is Barry
Oh.
Allen a ninja? Is he a
Yeah.
super fast ninja? Is he the fastest ninja alive?
I saw the Flash in a straw hat, so I'm excited, man. I'm
Yo,
curious.
I gotta watch this shit. This sounds awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're gonna be back very soon. See you next time. Goodbye.